13th. We'll start with a roll call. Susan Cox.
Here.
Pete Knox.
Here.
Kelly Sutherland.
Here.
Lawrence Green.
Here.
Michelle Weber.
Here.
Heather Murphy. We have one absent this evening. I don't have any comments as board president. Do we have any comments from the general manager?
Just a few, Mr. President. One, last night we had our sixth and final meeting of the Community Outreach and Communications Assessment Steering Committee. You'll recall that was a group of 21 individuals who applied to be on the committee to help assess how LTD moves forward in our communications with our public. The outcome of that effort will be a policy framework for how we move forward. There was some conversation among that group and with staff about having that committee kind of stay around on an ad hoc basis as we move forward. So we do plan to share that framework with them so you can see what we came up with and they can see their input in it and provide further feedback, and then continue to meet with them as we move forward in that framework as well. So you'll hear more about that. I want to thank each of them for the time that they put in to that effort and to their thoughts. There was some really good input that we received from that group. So it was a very good effort. We had a board retreat recently, and I want to thank the board for taking the time to spend a day with staff to help us think through the direction that we think the organization needs to go for our communities. I also want to thank the community leaders that showed up and spent time with us as well to give their feedback on the priorities that they're working on to help us get our outcomes aligned with the communities that we serve. There's a sense of there's wind in our sails. There's a sense of that we have the support of this board and of our community leaders, and there's a sense among the organization of excitement as to what we can become. We look forward to implementing a new future for LTD along with our communities that we serve. Fantastic. And then finally, you should have in front of you somewhere a invite for January 28th. We'll be having our employee recognition. Is there not one at every? Can I hold yours up, Lawrence? Okay. So you'll have these employee recognition event that we do twice a year. We have one. We had the cookout over the summertime, and then we'll have this, and we have a +1 opportunity there. So we'll be able to celebrate the work that our employees are doing. With that, I'll end my comments in case you have any questions.
Any questions? Thank you, Jameson. Any announcements or additions to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move into public comment. I believe we have 2 people signed up. Do we have any people online?
None online.
First person on the list is Shirley Block. Hi, Shirley. Welcome. Yeah. And just for reference for those speaking, you're limited, unfortunately, to 3 minutes in time. Go ahead, Shirley.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shirley Block. I'm the president ATU 757. I've been in transportation for 48 years. I started when I was 10. I wish. I heard you talk about the employee recognition on the 28th. I was in negotiation today with IT, and I wish to build a better relationship with LTD. We seem to be on the right track, but we've been getting railroaded from time to time. Today in that negotiations, I got a text message from Jermaine Gibson, and 757 was one of the 12 people, locals, that got this large amount of budget money that we can give to transit agency to help build relationship between the transit company and ATU. And I was really want to look at LTD to do that. I'm working with TriMet. They are going to send somebody down to the opening of this grant funding, which will be on the 27th of January. So Kevin and I'll be down there. Unfortunately, we will miss this employee appreciation, but today I did not feel appreciation at all in that room. And so I just want to open up that and say that to everybody and bring it to your attention These folks work hard for everybody, not just IT, your frontline people, they worked through COVID. We helped, we did everything possible to keep the company rolling. So respect your employees. That's all I'm asking you to do. Help and respect your employees. They work hard for you. They're individual people just like you. We are not greedy unions. I have 28 properties that I represent in Oregon and Washington. And I don't have a problem with any of them, except one person. I won't name no names because I'm a nice lady. I got on my Christmas sweater. Thank you for wearing yours. We were mind reading together. But anyway, I would like to say, please respect the people that work for you. That's what I came down since I was in negotiation, and I haven't been in board meeting in quite some time. I wanted to show my face and say thank you for what you do.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Bill Bradley.
All good, all good. Hello, my name is Bill Bradley. I'm the Executive Board Officer for ATU 757 for Lane Transit District. So that means I'm elected here by the employees here to represent them directly. It's a great agenda tonight, lots of things to listen for and make comment on, and hopefully you guys ask lots of great questions for the presentations you guys received tonight. But it is December, it is the end of the year. Did want to come down here and recognize employees. I do understand there's going to be an employee recognition event in January that I also will be unable to attend. But one thing that we have here at Lane Transit District is just a bunch of great employees. We talked about our IT workers already. Obviously, they've done stellar work. But we get employees that, we can't recognize them all. We get to choose one a month, and I think there's other ones that come up, and we need to find a way to highlight their contributions to the community. One was a bus operator. She was out driving a bus, and a person had a medical emergency on their bus. And that operator, recognized what was happening, and to the shock of anybody decent, nobody else on that bus was going to help this person. Like, everybody just kind of like, what do we do? Like, this person's obviously needing some assistance down there, and everybody looked to the operator. And I hear lots of comments. I hear sometimes just maybe just uninformed the excitement out of policymakers about automation and what can we do to get these drivers out of these buses. But I tell you, if that driver was not in that bus, that person would have died. Because of her actions, that person was able to, have vitals and make their way to the hospital and survive. Another operator, just a month ago or so, was sitting at a transit center, and, we always told people that bus operators are the eyes and ears of the community. They're always looking out. They're always noticing things if they're off. We see everything every day. So he was sitting there, he looked over to his right, he saw a pack of youths that was, shooting for a scuffle. They were right there in front of the customer service center, and, it looked like the situation was going to go downhill. This operator was able to get out of his seat, walk over to these youths, break them up, say, hey, go your separate ways. And it turns out, there was a weapon involved, and the situation could have got quite ugly. It could have got quite ugly for the person that was going to use the weapon. It could have got quite ugly for the person that was going to be on the receiving end of that weapon. It could have been quite ugly in terms of a LTD media campaign, news stories, whatever could have happened in that situation. But because of the actions of this operator, none of that happened, and nobody would ever know about it. It would be something that none of us know. And so with these things, like I said, we have a plethora of good people to talk about. I just wanted to be able to highlight a couple folks who along the way we have been unable to recognize. So that's what I was going to reserve my time for today. I would echo Shirley's comments about the IT contract. We've been talking about IT for almost 3 years, since the beginning to bargaining now. I think we're going down a line where we're finding some agreements. It's just one thing we're not finding is persistence to stay engaged at the table to actually get a deal. Anytime it gets hard, folks walk out the door. We need to stay. Nights, weekends. We need to get this done. We can't walk away when it gets hard, when it feels uncomfortable, when it gets aggressive. That's how a deal gets done. If you're not going to do it, it's never going to get done. So we got to stay there. That's my comments for today. Thank you for everything you do, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Will, and thanks for sharing those stories. I believe that's all we have for audience participation.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to a public safety update. Josh Schmidt.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. I'm here with John Allen to give the Public Safety Department update. Some of the topics we'll be speaking about tonight will be monitoring and assessing trends, LTD presence, technology and innovation, the ambassador program, and employee ridership. So, response through monitoring and assessing trends. Ordinance 36 tracking. Let me give you a definition of Ordinance 36 if you don't know what Ordinance 36 is. It is what we use in the district to, it's really the rules and regulations for our ridership that governs our system. It's what we use to, to run our system. We're monitoring and tracking trends based on Ordinance 36. We continue to review data from ABBG, which is the American Bus Benchmarking Group, also the American Public Transportation Association, which is APTA, and the Transportation Security Administration, which is TSA, along with internal data that we gather from our Ordinance 36 tracking. Through this, we've formed a committee, including frontline employees, including the union, as well as comparing with other transit agencies. It's been since 2015 since this document was updated, and there's some outdated items in there that, for instance, strollers. Back in the day when I started driving bus, we had high floor buses, and we would have passengers who had children in strollers. They would bring their children up, and we would have them fold the stroller down, take their child out, of course, bring that on. It was quite cumbersome. It was just, but it was in Ordinance 36. It's still in Ordinance 36. So we're looking at language, updating that, and eventually we'll be bringing that before the board. Through this, we're developing a new rider code of conduct as well. Really, this code of conduct is what items are allowed on the bus to communicate to our riders and provide clarity, as well as allow what's on the bus, what's not on the bus, what's there, and really empower our frontline employees to be able to make those decisions while they're there. We continue to network with local law enforcement. I'm involved in a monthly meeting with the community group to monitor activities in the downtown corridor. And with this also, we're researching data from the public transit agencies to compare LTD trends and concerns. So what I've noticed, what it's been with local law enforcement that I speak with and agencies that are close to us, 4 areas are hubs: the downtown Eugene Station, Springfield Station, also transit agencies that are close in size to us, just north of us. They're noticing in their hubs. That's where those ordinances are being violated and laws are being violated as well. The next slide shows response through monitoring and assessing trends. The lower level line is 2022. This is our Ordinance 36 violations. The top line, as you can see, there's some big peaks and valleys there. Those Ordinance 36 violations are on the rise. But we can attribute some of that to an increase in our presence. So in the system, C and B scene, we have public safety. Our officers are out there. Transportation supervisors, or what we call them, field supervisors. They're in the field, they're out there. Employees riding the bus, Thank you, Jameson, for really pushing that forward to get our employees out riding the bus. It's made a difference. It's really opened people's eyes. Thank you for that. The ambassador program. So again, we can attribute some of that increase in the Ordinance 36 violations to an increase in our public safety officers, those eyes, ears out there. In March, I came and spoke before the board and gave a presentation as well. We had 9 officers at that time. We increased all the way up to 12. We're at 11 right now. I had an officer start today, his first day on the job today. We are actively hiring. We did have an officer just recently leave. He went to another agency, became an officer, sworn officer. So that feels good. You know, we're kind of that stepping stone to be able to get them, you know, to that next level. It's really great to see. The goal, our goal at LTD is 15 and a half. To be honest, I think I have that half living in my house right now. He's 10. I'm going to be bringing him in shortly. Kidding, of course. That 15 and a half, in speaking with other transits, we're right in that line where we need to be. We're always assessing that, of course. And with this, as we get to that 15 mark, 15 and a half, it'll allow that continued more interactions with the public, customer service, and educational opportunities. We're always looking at numbers. We're always looking at that, assessing that, and going back and forth. LTD presence, fare inspecting, our passenger inspections. This slide shows, again, 2022 to 2023, 40,000 minutes that were inspected in 2022. We're at 70,000, well, a little over 70,000. This is an indicator, of course, of more presence on our system. It's just another way that we're leveraging our officers. We're putting them on platforms, putting them on buses, their mobile patrol. Those eyes and ears are out there. Just a little nugget. I had a document, I didn't put in this, but I have it hidden in my paperwork somewhere. 6,708 minutes last month of just time spent fare inspecting on MX alone, which is about 112 hours of just fare inspection, talking to people on the system, walking through those buses, making contact, our faces and our presence known. Moving on, technology and innovation. Our system security surveillance. Our implementation of the upgraded system security has allowed us to have additional support to our PSOs, field supervisors, and to help mitigate issues that may arise, as well as monitor not only possible situations, but help support our frontline employees. So as you can see by this shot, this is just one of our camera views that we're able to see in our system with that upgraded video system that's out there. Not only is it live feed, we're recording that as well. And it's been very instrumental in helping our officers, our public safety, people that may be having issues that our dispatcher is seeing, and they can call 911 to help get an ambulance there if they're having a seizure, or, you know, that can be seen in these. When I started a few years ago, I've been here for 28 years. I looked at video, and back then it was like, I don't know if you remember the old VHS tape that came out, and it was just so grainy, and we would look and say, yeah, that's a wallet on the seat, I think. And then the little black mark went away, and we're like, oh, yeah, it was a wallet. Now, as you can see, this is just one of our shots, and this really doesn't do it justice. We can really see a lot. There's a lot there that we can see. This has allowed personnel to monitor the system when PSOs and field supervisors are not in those locations as well. We're working with local law enforcement. We've been asked many times to provide video to help in investigations that law enforcement is involved in. Believe it or not, we've caught bank robbers. Bank robbers are still happening. It's still in our society today that people are bank robbing, trying to get on a bus to get away. Different kind of horse, but here they are. So with that, not only do we have it in the outside of our system on our stations, we are working to secure new onboard cameras as well on our buses. The system of our fleet is deteriorating, so we're looking to upgrade that. It's in the procurement process now, and this will free up our field supervisors. Right now, our field supervisors, when they pull video, they actually have to go manually pull that. It's time consuming. So to upgrade that will free our field supervisors up to be in the field actually doing their job. So moving forward, we will be in the next fiscal year working with an outside agency to provide an updated security assessment to keep current standards and to help LTD with recommendations on what we need to do to continue to keep our system safe. We're continuing to look at new technologies and strategies as well through coordination with other public transit agencies. I took a trip to a transit agency north of us, TriMet, very large. They have some different technologies that they use. And through that, TSA, I don't know if you've heard of the See Something, Say Something campaign. It's nationally recognized. It's out there. We're looking at something to be able to give to our riders, not only our riders, but our employees who are riding the bus, public safety, to be able to have some kind of app to be able to, if you see graffiti on something, you can click that in so we can get rid of that, get that off of our station. If you leave graffiti there, it's been proven more graffiti will come. So if we can get that off of there, it's great. Garbage cleanups and those security concerns that may arise, we can put that out there. And while technology's proven to be an essential, for support, LTD presence in the system is vital to connecting with our community and riders. This is why the Ambassador program, which John will be speaking about, along with employees riding the bus, is part of our mission, connecting our community. So John, if you want to talk about the Ambassador program.
Sure, happy to. So we've joined many other transit agencies along the West Coast in beginning a Transit Ambassador program. What this is doing is it's helping with the perception of safety. So riding public transit is very safe. However, there's legitimate concerns, and if you spent any amount of time downtown, you've probably noticed that the tone and nature of our community, and not just here, but throughout our country, has begun to shift and change. We can show that statistically. The amount of specialized behavioral health transportation that we've been doing has seen a huge spike over the last couple of years. So we need to make sure that people feel safe riding public transit. One of the ways we've attempted to begin to address that is through our Transit Ambassador program. We've typically up to this point drawn upon a pool of light duty operators to be able to assist us in this way. These are folks who, due to an injury or for whatever reason, aren't able to operate a bus, but still want to be involved in the workforce and be able to do whatever they can to be able to help. And that's been part of the culture at Lane Transit. So we all just do what we can to be able to support our community. And this is one way that we can utilize our pool of light duty operators to be able to continue to assist our riders in their times of need. So some examples of that. During heat waves in the summer, we had transit ambassadors handing out bottles of water. In the wintertime, we have folks handing out hand warmers, ponchos for people that are getting drenched in the rain, even pairs of socks. We see people walking around barefoot, both trying to get on our system and just navigate to where they need to go. Countless bottles of hand sanitizer. We've been using Be Safe, Be Seen lights. So nowadays, when folks are traveling, when it's dark out, need to be mindful of traffic, being able to be safe, and we're giving out lights to be able to help people do that too. So there's many different types of ways in which our transit ambassadors are able to help the public in this capacity. We have folks that are stationed both at our Eugene and Springfield stations and supporting our customer service efforts there, as well as out riding the system. So alongside that challenge for all employees to be able to be out on our system, be visible, be seen, you'll notice transit ambassadors wearing extremely visible high-vis vests that say, "I'm here to help." Being proactive in talking with our riders and saying, "What can I do to help you?" That could be through trip planning. Hey, what bay does my bus leave out of? What transfer do I need to catch to get to the grocery store? What do I need to do if I want to take the bus to get to my doctor's appointment? We're also helping people just understand how to ride, how to pay fare, how do tap cards work? Where do I get one? How much does it cost? Would it be cheaper if I got a month pass? We're helping people with overall referrals to customer service center. Hey, did you know we have an honored rider program? You're 65 or over. Did you know that you could ride free on LTD? Let's get you a card. Here, I can take you over there and show you how to do. It's very easy. We'll be in and out in 10 minutes. General questions, help. Things that people may not have ordinarily thought that they may have needed, we're able to then assist in real time. if there's an incident on a bus and people that may be riding that the next day feel like it may feel a little bit unnerving to be riding that same route, we can have a visible presence, people with LTD logos on that bus, providing that reassurance. We're here to help. It's safe to ride. We're here alongside you. So in that way, the Transit Ambassador Program has been incredibly successful. Their primary responsibilities are to provide a welcoming presence, to be a deterrent. So if you're familiar with the broken windows philosophy, they're assisting in that way, to be able to help and answer questions, and to be able to observe and report, or the see something, say something model. What they are not are public safety officers. So they're not doing fare enforcement. They're not trespassing anyone off the system. They're purely here to help, to be a positive presence for our community. There's only so much I can say about it, but I wanted to mention in both the public and our ambassadors' own words some of the things that have happened on the street. So qualitative examples. So I'm usually not a fan of talking at people, but I felt like I couldn't do it the same justice as the folks that are actually out there doing some of the work on the front line. So I just wanted to share a couple of examples that have come through our desk. One says, an ambassador who is fluent in ASL helped a customer who needed interpretation. After learning that the customer had experience regarding passenger safety laws, the ambassador helped the customer send us helpful information. The customer was very pleased with the way LTD banded together as a group to help her navigate the correct path in reaching her goal of seeking passenger safety for the future of lane transit. Here's another. Another ambassador reported that in her time on the job, she had helped families from across the country on the MX who were in town for track and field events at Hayward Field, assisted a rider with a vision impairment who had gotten on the wrong bus to make sure that they connect with the correct bus, helped regularly with ramp deployment and boarding deboarding on the MX since many riders are wearing headphones and don't think about getting out of the way. They said, it's a great pleasure to be in this position and work for such a great outfit that strives to improve and is truly there for the community. It's been my pleasure representing LTD as an ambassador and being able to assist whenever necessary for a community along with my coworkers. All the great feedback I get from our riding with my community reminds me of how lucky I am to be part of the LTD team. Here's another. An ambassador assisted visitors to Eugene who are here for a conference at the university. He helped them transfer buses, explaining fares and how the system works, and providing a rider's digest. The ambassador asked the operator to make sure the customers got off at the stop they needed. I turned them over to the driver and let him know where they were going, and he made sure they got off at the stop they needed. They were so happy they could be from out of town and feel comfortable using our system in just a few minutes. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to be part of the ambassador program. One more. LTD also received a compliment from a customer from Yachats about one of our ambassadors, calling him the most amazing ambassador. This customer reported that they didn't just tell her what bus to take so that she could catch a connection to a coastbound bus. Instead, he rode with her on the bus and got her to the exact spot for her connection. This customer went on to state, what a relief for a weary traveler. He was so very kind, and your company is so lucky to have a wonderful, kind, and considerate employee. Thanks so much for a great experience. One more. Another ambassador stated, my job as an ambassador for LTD over the past week has consisted of over 100 contacts with the general public, ranging from a simple hello to a meaningful conversation which benefits LTD's public relations. This position has provided me with a unique opportunity to assist our community with both information and guidance on transit, as well as on other types of services and assistance community members rely on. Among his interactions, they reported contacting public safety to help a customer who has felt being harassed, assisting a customer who appeared dehydrated by providing water, helping customers navigate the MX, and referring customers to other community resources. Later today, you're going to hear from our December Employee of the Month for his work on the Ambassador Program. Very proud of the work we've been doing. I'm going to be looking forward to sharing more of these examples with you in the future.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Oh, Pete.
Gotta look right.
I know.
Thank you, guys. As you know, I'm a transit writer, and I have actually, I can cite stories, but I'll just say that I've seen a real difference, especially going out West 11th on the MX. That can be an interesting ride sometimes, but having a presence there, I've actually seen it make a difference. I've seen it even the ambassadors have a positive effect on safety and potential Ordinance 36 violations. So my just personal small world, I've seen this do really well. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Pete. Other questions or comments? I have one kind of question or comment. John, I was appreciative when you started your presentation, you talked about perceptions, and those are very important in addition to actual safety. In my mind, I see three audiences in terms of perceptions. One would be our own employees, the other are the riders, and the third are the people who are not getting the bus. I was wondering if there's any way that we can test the perceptions of those three audiences sometime in the future to see if all these efforts that I think are great are having an impact on them in terms of their perception of safety. Because if we make it perfectly safe and their perception of safety is really low, we really haven't accomplished the ultimate goal.
That's a really great point. I would add to that I think that's absolutely correct. It's both one of our core values as an organization, but also a part of our strategic business plan in which we see that as a measurable. We need people to feel safe to be able to ride. So absolutely agree that that's a fundamental part of both our ambassador program and our overall service.
Anything else? Okay, John, don't go away. You're next. I'm going to talk about the RideSource passenger portal. I think we saw a brief snapshot of it.
Thanks, everyone. My name is John Allen. You might remember me from the Transit Ambassador presentation earlier tonight. So oftentimes at Lane Transit, we talk about connecting our community. I'm going to be talking about something slightly different today, where we're talking about how our community connects with us. Up until this point in time, when someone's needed to schedule a paratransit ride, so for our RideSource service, someone who, due to the nature of their disability or as an older adult, is unable to ride our fixed route system, needs to have an alternative. That's a service that's typically scheduled in advance, and we've maintained a call center at 2nd and Garfield, which serves the public in this way. So we maintain a fairly large call center. We're typically doing over 1,000 or thousands of calls every single day requesting service from our community. For the most part, that's worked really well. I think we serve as a model for other communities, and they look to us as, how can folks emulate what we're doing here? We have something special. We're often seen to as one of the first in accessibility, having a fully wheelchair accessible public transit fleet, having services like RideSource and innovations that have started here in our community. We've noted that many people with disabilities and families of people with disabilities have chosen to move and live here because of the types of services that are offered. However, one place where we've fallen a bit behind is that the only way to contact us for a trip request on RideSource has been over the telephone. That isn't necessarily ideal for everyone, just either due to the nature of their disability. It also creates a lot of pressure for us in that typically when it rains, it pours, as we know around here. When the phone goes off the hook, we get all our calls all at once, and we need to staff up accordingly. We need to prepare for what's the most number of people that are going to be contacting us all at once. Difficult in a busy call center. We've also faced challenges, as we've noted during the pandemic. Having everyone in a crowded call center room together isn't always ideal for us to be able to provide service to the public. There are also some regulatory requirements. So for example, in addition to paratransit, we're providing non-emergent medical transportation. Our commitment to the public is that we answer the phone within 30 seconds, 85% of the time. Better than almost anywhere you're going to call that handles this volume of calls. Almost no one else is able to meet this metric. We do. But we still wanted to do better and provide some alternatives. And so one of the ways that we've done that is to be able to institute some improvements to our call center to have an online scheduling option and incorporate more technology to be able to serve the general public. So one of the ways we've done that is through what's known as a passenger portal. This isn't something that we've created on our own. This isn't something that's brand new across the country, but it is something that's required significant investments kind of under the hood for us to be able to make improvements in the ways that we store data, able to book trips, able to track our vehicles. And so we've been doing that work for some time now. And much of that has been invisible to the public, but now we're able to reap the benefits by saying we do have some ways that the public can actually more easily schedule trips for those who prefer to use a computer, phone, tablet, other method to be able to schedule. If you don't mind the next slide. So what is our passenger portal? This is a request made in our online system for transportation. Normally that's done over the phone. It requires a significant investment in call taker time. So we're having to verify information, say, can you give us our name, date of birth, unique identifier, when is your trip going to be scheduled? We need to verify eligibility. It can take a few minutes. We try and make it as the least cumbersome as we can based on the regulatory requirements. And for some folks, they also need to utilize a caretaker, a personal care attendant to be able to assist with trip requests. Now we have the ability to be able to schedule that online. So the request comes through. Someone tells us, hey, I need to go to my doctor's office tomorrow. They tell us everything that they need, and then we're able to then follow up and confirm the request and then say, hey, did you know that we can do that without charging a fare? This is a Medicaid eligible trip. Let us take you for free. That may not be something that they were aware of, and we're able to create an additional efficiency. We're also able to do that in a way that relieves some of the burden on our call center, helps us maintain our metrics and provide better service, even out the way that we receive those requests that can be done throughout the day rather than all at once during our rush hour. The other thing that it does is it helps people lead more independent lives by giving them options to be able to do their trip scheduling for RideSource. So by having additional options, some of our riders can then be less reliant on needing to use a personal care attendant or an authorized user to be able to schedule trips on their behalf. They can set up subscription trips. So if someone says, I need to go to dialysis every Tuesday and Thursday, they can set that up online and be able to make sure that we're there every time that they need us. We're doing trip scheduling for both our ADA paratransit and for our Medicaid non-emergent medical transportation. And it also gives us opportunities to be able to let people know about other services that we have available. Somebody's going to the grocery store regularly, we might offer, did you know we have a shopper shuttle? We can get you there even cheaper. Were you interested in a social outing? Did you need help carrying your groceries on and off the vehicle? That might be a way we can do that. If you don't mind the next slide. We've slowly started rolling this out to make sure that we're working out any potential bugs in the system so that it's as least impactful as possible to members of the public. We're currently in the early stages of this, averaging roughly 200 contacts a month. And getting ready to roll this out in more earnest, working with our partners to be able to increase awareness of the passenger portal. This is part of those efforts tonight. So making that a more public announcement. So we're working with our community care organizations such as Trillium and Pacific Source, Oregon Health Authority to make sure that our membership is aware that this is an option, another tool in the tool belt to be able to get where you need to go. If you don't mind the next slide. Where we've really been doing some work is with our notifications of trip requests. This is a way we can do trip reminders. And this is important for our RideSource call center in that no-shows are an important metric that we follow. Someone schedules a trip. It's not good for anyone if either the driver or the rider isn't where they need to be at the right time in the right place. Folks can select whether or not they want to receive a text message, an email, a phone call. We can automate that through our system to make sure that they get reminders. Hey, did you know that you have a trip tomorrow? Let us know if you need to make any changes. Hey, your vehicle's on the way. It'll be there in 15 minutes. Hey, your vehicle's here. We don't see you. Make sure that you're curbside. That helps us minimize that because we typically maintain a pretty tight schedule timeline where we need to be exactly where we are at certain points throughout the day. If we miss each other, that can create ripples throughout our whole scheduling throughout the day. This helps us communicate more effectively with the general public about the trips that we're performing. So due to the sheer volume of trips that we do, it would be untenable for us to have someone doing nothing but trip reminders all day for literally thousands of trips that we perform through the RideSource call center. This allows us to automate it. People can customize it based on their own needs. Say, yeah, text message is great. Or, you know what? I need an email or a phone call. Or all of the above. More reminders, the better. It helps us give another tool to be able to communicate with the general public. And we've had great success with people utilizing this. 50,000 notifications a month is where we're currently sitting at, and increasing. A large percentage of our ridership is opted into this. Over a third currently, and still increasing and going strong. So I think we see that this is going to become a bigger and bigger portion of what we do, and it helps relieve that strain on the call center so that we can use our resources more effectively. So just a brief overview today. I also want to make sure we had an opportunity for any Q&A. If you don't mind skipping to our last slide here.
Any comments or questions? I love it. Yeah.
I agree.
Lawrence.
Go ahead.
So you said this is online, right?
It
And
is.
It's kind of early in the stages of the whole plan, I guess.
It is.
So I was just wondering if like by online, do you also mean like there's an app version, or is it like maybe an app version, maybe in the future?
Currently, no app needed. Any web-capable device is able to connect to our passenger portal. So it's all web-based. So someone can connect actually directly through our website currently if they're interested in connecting. So any internet-capable phone or tablet or PC is able to connect without needing to download any external software.
Michelle.
Just want to say this is a great step towards making this a better program for the end user. I used to work with a gal whose mom was using this resource and would get phone calls, panicked phone calls, because RideSource wasn't there. They didn't know how long they would be waiting. All of that anxiety from somebody who's already just not able to get where they need to be. So just this is a great first step for helping to solve that.
Other comments or questions? Looking to the right. Jameson.
Hey, John, thank you. That's picture of the year there. Slide of the year. Can you speak to some of the challenges that you foresee in terms of adoption? I know Heather Murphy and I met down in Cottage Grove. We talked about Connector, and a large portion of those trips they have the ability to reserve through an app, but a lot of those are still going through the call center. So can you speak to how we increase the adoption rate as we roll forward on this?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that brings up in particular challenges that we faced in rural areas and when serving communities that make up a larger proportion of older adults, people with disabilities, than in some other areas, to make sure that technology is in place that's able to adapt to that. We'll also hear from members of the public that just say, hey, I don't have a smartphone, or I don't know how to use my smartphone, and may even just prefer an old-fashioned phone call. So we always want to make sure that we maintain that as an option. We want to make sure that this is seen as an additional tool in the tool belt. But education is really key, and that's something we're continuing to focus and work on. So for our current services that are in the South Lane area, particularly in Cottage Grove, we are using an app in that area, and we are collecting data and metrics for our Mobility on Demand program. So that is something we're actively looking at and working on as we do a significant amount of work in both Florence and Cottage Grove, where we're able to learn how can we best serve these communities there, and it may be a little bit different than we do in our metropolitan area. So I think education we've seen as key, and our partnerships have been critical. So there's not going to be enough of me to talk to every single member of the public about how we've got this passenger portal exists. But what I can do is talk to the agencies and the organizations that we work with and say, I need you to help me to tell your members, your clients, the folks that you're working with that this exists. Help me teach members of the public how to use it. So we already work very closely with organizations such as Senior and Disability Services, Whitebird Clinic, Alternative Work Concepts, various nonprofits and organizations in the area that already assist us with things like travel training, how to ride buses, how to use the passenger portal. Working with coordinated care organizations, Trillium and Pacific Source have been critical partners. They make up a huge portion of our population for Medicaid transportation. We all see this as a benefit that we want members to be able to take advantage of. So increasing awareness is the first step, and then education, helping people understand how to use it, is the next step. So we're still at that early. We're letting people know that this is an option. It's working and it's working well. Now we need to get more of our community out there being able to use it and take advantage of it and see it as an additional option, while still noting if somebody wants to rely on a telephone and to talk to a human being, we're not taking that away. That still remains an option. We aren't planning for that to go away at any point. What we're trying to do is just make sure that people can efficiently and effectively schedule trips, and this is another way to do it.
Thank you, John. Oh, Heather.
To add on to that, is there a plan in the future to offer in both, either on the web-based version in Spanish? There is an operator at South Lane Wheels that speaks Spanish, but when they take lunch, some of the rides get a little bit held up if the user is in Spanish. We've had that happen at the center. So just wondering if there's more Spanish coming.
Absolutely. So that's actually part of the foundation of LTD. We have a limited English proficiency plan, which addresses additional languages that we need to make sure that all of our major materials are available in. Spanish is on that list. I will also note, particularly in Cottage Grove and South Lane areas, we have been actively and aggressively pursuing the Spanish language addition onto the app, and that is currently in the works. We expect that in early 2024 to be fully rolled out. So absolutely agree. In addition, I'll also note we make use of a language line for anyone who's contacting us, even in languages that we may not typically have membership speak. We have the ability to get someone to help us communicate with. We also are just used to working with everyone in our community, including those who are nonverbal. So if we don't speak your language, we're still going to figure out a way to make the trip request work, to be able to make sure that somebody's needs are being met. It's part of the fabric of who we are and what we do. So we want to serve our whole community.
Any last questions? Thanks again.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate the thoughtful questions.
B. Our next item is fleet procurement discussion. Eric Evers.
So, Board President, board members, Mr. Otten. I'm Eric Evers. I'm the Director of Fleet Management. It's my pleasure to discuss with you this evening the next steps in the fleet procurement plan. Will you go to the next slide, Allie? So, you know, I work with and represent several employees, 6 equipment detail technicians, 6 general service workers, 20 mechanics, journey level mechanics, a full-time maintenance instructor, and a tire specialist. This discussion is very important to them, and the result or the outcome of it affects their life, their work life every day, as it also affects our ability to meet our mission of connecting our community. Slide, please. Other slide. I think we missed one. Maybe an outline slide. So in this discussion, we're going to cover board adopted policy, current state of the fleet, access to propulsion options, and recommendations moving forward. And we'll start in that with a board adopted. This says, I think, climate action policy. It really was a climate action statement adopted under resolution number 2020-06-17-038, which is the adoption of a climate action statement and goals. This was, again, I'm saying the word adopted again, adopted by Lane Transit District Board of Directors on the 17th day of June of 2020. These are somewhat aggressive goals, as LTD typically does, right? We kind of lean forward, but just to go over the goals so we know where we stood back then and where we stand now. Goal one, the short-term goal was to purchase 25 electric buses over a 3-year period. Now, we currently have 30 electric buses. That makes up 30% of our fleet. We're ahead of the curve there from that goal. Goal two, a long-term goal, was 100% fleet turnover and phase out of fossil fuels by 2035, which is quite a ways from now. And with R99 propulsion, R99 diesel, we've transitioned away from fossil fuels by, as it says, 99%. Only 1% of that propulsion fuel is fossil. The second part of that long-term goal, 75% greenhouse gas emission reduction by 2030. And with that technology, with battery electric buses and R99, we're already there. That doesn't mean that we stop, right? That we continue to investigate technology as we go forward and continue to dig in and see what the next thing is. Those are those two goals. As we move forward to the next slide, the third goal under the climate action statement was deliberate exploration of emerging technology and fuels. And we continue to engage on that through paid studies and memberships, as you see probably in front of you. Zero Emission Bus Resource Alliance, American Bus Benchmarking Group, American Public Transportation Association, and Northwest Alliance. We're engaged with those on a regular basis, either in person, online, through emails, other forums. We stay in tune with what's going on in the industry. The second one there is joint community emissions reduction goals with partner jurisdiction. We are a climate collaborative partner on Eugene's Community Action Plan, or the CAP 2.0. And then the last one is the iterative process to review progress on goals annually. We achieve that through partnership with Parametrics, which produces an LTD fiscal year operations greenhouse gas inventory audit. That gives us measure scope 1 and 2 emissions over time. It covers facilities and vehicles, which scope 1 is a direct emissions from facilities, vehicles emissions. Scope 2 is indirect emissions from electricity and other shared energy. And I should have probably said it at the beginning. If there's any questions as we go through this, please ask. This is meant to be a discussion, not really a meeting. Giving you a bunch of information and try to remembering it at the end and throwing questions at me. So if there's anything, please raise your hand and let me know. With no questions, we'll move on to the fleet posture. And I want to start with some clarifying notes. There's some terms in this section that I'll use. I want to make sure we're all on the same page. So the FTA allowance for spare ratio is 20% of peak buses. There's also an allowance, an increased allowance when we're introducing battery electric buses into our fleet. So there's a little bit of a push there too. And what I mean by a 20% allowance is we currently still manage a fleet based off of our pre-COVID peak of 83 buses, the most buses we put in service at a time on a day. We're not there anymore, but that's still the bus size of the bus fleet we have. So 20% of 83 buses is 17 buses, which gets us to our 100 bus fleet, which we currently have. So that's what the spare ratio is referring to. It's how many extra buses we can have to account for preventative maintenance work that needs to be done, defects on buses that help hold them out of service, allows us to provide service and work on things at the same time. The other note there is bus down. So bus downs are, when buses are down, they're not available for service due to either the same things, defect, or we're holding it down to do preventative maintenance on it. And this is measured at rollout each day. So in the morning, first bus goes out around 5 o'clock. That's where we measure this. So when you see these numbers in the next pieces here, it refers to that. Now that fluctuates throughout the day as the day starts and a driver goes out on a bus and they start it and something's wrong with it. Oftentimes the team out there can address it and we keep it going, but sometimes we pull that bus out of service and that bus down rate increases rather rapidly at the beginning of the day, after buses roll out on splits in the middle of the day, and then towards the end of the day where we're pushing more MXs out in service, we start seeing more defects too at the end of the day. So I'll move on, without any questions on those two notes, I'll move on to the MX fleet. Just want to kind of give you the laydown of where we stand right now. We have 18 MXs available for service right now. Our current peak on MXs is 13, so the most we have out in service at a time is 13. Our average down for defects per day is 4. So at the start of every day, we typically have 4 of those buses that are down for a defect, mechanical defect, or we're holding it down for service, or in many cases, for some reason, the people we live around in this area tend to not be able to see an MX bus. It's the most ran into bus or ran in front of bus that we have out there. So we have oftentimes, unfortunately, a bus down waiting for major repairs.
So that's a larger amount or average than the.
It is. It's also, as it says up there, which I hadn't said yet, it's also accounts for 40% of our revenue miles. So it's, we hold more of those because it is our workhorse. It's how we haul the most people across our district. Yeah. Good question. Thank you. The 61 series bus is our oldest fleet. We only have one of those left, as it says there as well. We have one remaining. We've been running 21 MXs for quite a while, and it's just over the last probably 4 to 6 months we've started sitting 3 of those down. There's maintenance requirements on those that are beyond beneficial to spend money on and keep them in service when they will go away soon. We'll dispose of those, and we do have 7 new MX buses on order. Those should be delivered February, March of 2024, which is why we're able to start getting rid of these. It's kind of, we should typically get a new bus in before we start getting rid of a fleet, but the team does a great job of keeping these buses running. That's our MX fleet. Moving on to our 60-foot articulated or Arctic fleet. We have 14 total buses, and our peak is 14. Which probably generates questions too. We average 2 buses down per day, so that instantly puts us below our peak, right? But our 40-foot fleet, our 40-foot bus fleet can back up, and they do back up our Arctic fleet. They can run the same routes. So we try to maximize the use of our Arctic buses to provide service, the most capacity to move our passengers. But if for some reason they're not available, we can easily slide a 40-foot into it. Going on to the next slide. Our 40-foot fleet, we currently have 48 total buses. Our current peak is 17, which seems low, but I'll just remind you what I said before. Our fleet right now is postured off a peak of 83, currently running, I believe, a peak of 62 to 64. The planning's in the room. This is exacerbated by the BEV fleet availability. So, and as the third line there says, this fleet is backed up is backup for the BEVs, the battery electric buses, and the Arctics. So anytime there's not a battery electric bus that can run or an Arctic that can run, the 40-foot fleet fills into both of those, which is why you see a little bit more of a gap there. Moving on to the battery electric fleet, we have 30 total, as stated earlier. Our current peak is 22. Our goal really is to run as many of these as we possibly can, but that's the peak we have out in a day. The makeup of that battery electric bus fleet, as you probably are all aware, we have 11 2200 series buses, which is 2020 200 buses, and we have 19. Those are the original buses, and 19 2200 series buses, which are our newest electric buses, which we've had really on lot for about a year now. The 2200, the original electric buses, average 4 down per day, 36% of those. The 22100 fleet averages about 6 down per day, 32% of them. The first 16 buses went into service between September and December of 22 of the 22-100s, and the fleet sat idle for about 4 months due to a safety recall and solution implementation. The last 3 buses of that 19 bus purchase we got between September and October 2023. Those are the 3 buses that had thermal event, had a fire at the factory, and they had to rebuild those. That's why they came so much later. And the entire battery electric bus fleet has experienced issues with the recall solution. So since the recall and the solution that they've come out with a second recall, those drains on those buses have been popping and opening. If they do that, we can't run them. So they've come out with a new upgraded drain for that and an insulation system around it. That took some time, and those are being installed now. So there's buses in that scenario that we can't run at the time either. So there's been significant issues there.
The drain, is it for rainwater or something else?
No, it's for battery coolant.
Oh.
So the coolant that cools our battery systems, the ESS or the energy storage systems on each bus. The original buses have 5 energy storage systems. The newer ones have 6 energy storage systems. There's coolant that runs through those and cools those batteries. So there was the fire and another fire at another agency in Pennsylvania, which probably you guys read about a couple years ago. That was what caused this safety recall. That stuff leaking out.
When there's a recall and you have to replace parts, does the company cover those expenses, or is that something that LTD has to absorb?
They cover it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, they produce the part. We have New Flyer technicians on site, and they've done that work. We've engaged. We've put our mechanics with that team just so we understand how the system works and what those fixes look like, and how to change those parts when it comes around for us having to do that ourselves. But it's been New Flyer's cost. Any labor hours we put towards that, we've been able to recoup from New Flyer.
No coverage for any lost revenue with the fleet being in.
No, ma'am. Yeah. Some of those propulsion systems, not going into gear. I think the bigger thing is, as we've lived the battery electric bus life for 2.5 years now, we've changed 15 batteries over 9 buses in that period. That covers the old bus and our new buses. That's significant in the fact that how much time that takes. So when one battery, so the original electric bus has 35 batteries. The new one has 42. When one battery goes down, it takes a string down. So a string consists of 7 batteries. When one string goes down because of one battery, we can't run the bus. We can't typically get to the SOC that we need to effectively put it into service and run it. That's compounded by the fact that we can't necessarily always know that the battery is the thing that's bad, right? We get symptoms and we diagnose for a couple of days before we realize it's the battery. And then it takes us a week. Sometimes it's taken a month to get a replacement battery. And then it takes us, once we change the battery, up to 2 weeks to balance the battery. So when you put a new battery, it isn't charged all the way, and we spend time kind of cycling all the batteries down, charging them up, down and up until they're balanced, and then it's ready for service. So it's a significant lift, and then our ineffectiveness to provide service to our community. Any questions on those?
Can you just have extra batteries so you don't have to?
Not at this point. So there isn't a lot of them sitting on the shelves for us to go purchase and then sit on our shelves. And then there's the decision on, we've seen a pretty high, from my perspective, use rate, but from a material management perspective and how much money they have sitting on stock, and it sits there, how long is that battery good for if we leave it there and it sits for 3 months before we touch it? And then where do we store it? How does material management store it? Not necessarily an effective way, but it's not just, and it's not it's from my perspective, it's not a OEM problem. It's a technology problem. The fact that the technology continues to evolve. I mean, we have our battery system on the new buses is completely different than the battery system on the original buses. Those are 2 years apart. The next battery bus that we would possibly buy would be different than the one we just got. As is your cell phone, as is any other battery that powers anything that you have. And then the technology that goes along with that continuously changes too.
So this information is across the industry, right? Not just LTD. Was it expected to have these many bumps? When
I think it's a good question. I think it depends on who you ask the question to. I think people that know technology knew there were going to be problems, but I think everybody hopped into this knowing that we need to find solutions to greenhouse gas emissions and tailpipe emissions, and it's the right thing to do. But it continues to evolve, right? And every time you change something with technology, it presents its own problems. So yeah. Yeah. I mean, some people would say now, after hindsight's 2020, we probably should have replaced one regular bus with 1.2 or 1.5 battery electric buses. That introduces more cost, right? Because the battery electric bus is $1 million. And the last diesel bus we bought was $550,000. So once you up your ratio of replacement, the cost is significant, and then the cost to support it is significant too. Any other questions on battery electric buses? So we'll move on to access to propulsion options. I just want to, lay down, we're going to get to a point at this, but I want to just ease the thoughts when it comes to what buses and propulsion systems are available moving forward from an extended perspective. Talking to Gilligan, New Flyer, the two bus manufacturers we have on the lot now, both of them will continue to support customer needs, no matter what kind of drive technology it is we pursue, whether that's battery electric buses, hydrogen, RNG, diesel. They'll continue to produce those as long as their customers, and they are, 80%, I think Gillig said 80% of the buses they produce right now are still diesel buses. And so there's not a fast taper off away from diesel, where we continue to see the support there. Cummins is the one who provides our engines for our buses. They're producing a new X10 engine which will be out in 2027, which will support 3 fuel types: diesel, natural gas, and hydrogen. They do some minor modifications to the top end of those engines, and they can use any of those fuel types. So they're looking ahead and see how do they continue to support their customers that way as well. And then as far as fuel availability, R99 is in line with Oregon's Clean Fuel Program. And we have seen, since we started using it, and our fuel suppliers tell us, we will continue to see an increase in production each year for the foreseeable future. Battery electric technology, it continues to be evolving, as I said. Range and reliability will continue to create challenges for us. We have seen charging capacity concerns. We have experienced charger issues out there. Sometimes that is a charge system. ABB is the company that provided those to us, or a New Flyer or a bus problem, but there's sometimes issues between the two. That hasn't been a significant issue to provide service to this point, because our battery electric buses, we haven't had to charge 30 every night, right? We're charging 15 a night, 16 a night. So we haven't had to push that capacity. But once we get to that, if we get to that point where we're having to charge 30 buses a night for service each day, that could be a challenge in the future. We have taken advantage of charging opportunities in the CIP and for the United Front. We are exploring the addition of electric vehicle charging infrastructure at Glenwood and at RideSource locations in preparation for future electric vehicle purchases. We seem to be doing better in that lane. So as we look at replacing non-revenue vehicles or replacing RideSource, vehicles in the future. We're looking at the possibility of building that infrastructure now so that when we do go purchase those vehicles, there's already the support for them on both locations. The other two fuel sources I have on there, renewable natural gas, which is a developed technology. It is in use, but there is significant infrastructure costs with that. And then hydrogen technology, which is an evolving technology. It's promising. I think a lot of people believe that it might be the solution for not just the transit industry, but for transportation industry as a whole. But we're probably 6, 7 or more years away from that being where we need from a financial perspective, a cost-effective solution, and really a technology advancement to rely on it heavily. Any questions on buses and propulsion? So to the last slide, which is recommendations. So our recommendations moving forward as far as our next fleet procurement would be the authorization to order 38 R99 buses over the next 3-year period. That would be a makeup of 30 40-foot buses up to 8 Arctic buses. And this is supported by our community investment plan, or CIP. And as we always do, we would continue to evaluate evolving technologies, everything we just talked about, to make sure that each time we go to make another purchase, we will decide, is an R99 fueled bus the right thing to do, or should we be switching at that time to something else? Any questions?
I guess hearing all of the challenges, I think it's really understandable, but just wonder if there isn't some way to have some sort of incentive or compensation for all the challenges and the expense related to this, as organizations like LTD make the effort to move into electric. That it's not just, oh, we're going to do this, isn't it wonderful, and then move on, without acknowledging that behind that there's a lot of complication and extra expense involved. So appreciate all you're doing to understand that.
Yes, ma'am. And I would say, I would add to that, when you talk about across the industry, you see many agencies right now. Jameson's pushed out some articles out there. There's other agencies that are making these, which I think are difficult decisions. I think we made the good faith effort to move in a direction we probably all think we should do. And then we come to a realization that it's not quite working yet. It may work someday. It's just a challenge now. And as I go back to our mission of connecting our community, which is our main goal, and we all know that the most effective way to affect greenhouse gases and emissions is to put more people in buses, right? Get them out of their cars and get them in a transit bus and move them around. And we have a much larger effect doing that than reducing what's coming out of these buses, which is right now pretty clean. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. We'll see this topic at the next meeting. Yes, sir. This evening. So at this point in time, we're going to adjourn this meeting. So this meeting is adjourned, and we're going to move into executive session. So we're going to change the makeup of the room, and we'll go into executive session.
Recording stopped.
Welcome to
Recording in progress.
Always go too fast. Good evening. Welcome to the December 13th meeting of the Lane Transit Board of Directors. This is a special meeting, and I'll call roll. Susan Cox, Pete Knox. Here. Kelly Sutherland. Here. Lawrence Green. Here. Michelle Weber.
Here.
And Heather Murphy.
Here.
All are present. Do we have any additional audience participation? There were two on the list before. Do we have anyone? Nope. Do we have anybody online who would like to participate?
No.
Okay. Any announcements or additions to the agenda? Okay, we have a couple of Employee of the Month awards for one's for November, one's for December. And who wants to go first? Al, are you going to talk a little bit?
Our November Employee of the Month is pretty tired and went home. She's taken on a big project, but I spoke with her supervisor who asked if I could read a little acknowledgement towards her, if that's all right with you. I have it up in front of me.
That'd be great.
Diana was quick to respond to a medical emergency that took place in the finance office. A visiting contractor was experiencing symptoms of a heart attack and asked for 911 services. Diana quickly retrieved the defibrillator AED from operations. Following the instructions of the 911 operator, Diana administered first aid to the gentleman as they waited for first responders to arrive. I was very impressed with how Diana remained calm in this situation. She spoke softly, acted quickly, and created a space for him that was safe and comfortable. Although he was under stress, Diana was able to reassure him that help was on the way, while also working with her peers to ensure he received help. Throughout her work areas, Diana brings tremendous support to her teams and is always willing to assist in with process questions and streamlining. While I easily could have selected all 4 core values for this nomination, as Diana demonstrates all 4, Diana's safety awareness and commitment to a secure, safe work environment rises to the top.
Thank you. Amazing story as usual. Next is our December Employee of the Month, Tom Locke.
Good evening, board president, board members. We're going to stand, so we had that agreement. So I know everybody's sitting, but we feel more comfortable standing. My name is Jake McCallum. I'm the Director of Operations and Public Safety here at Lane Transit District. And it's my pleasure to introduce Tom Locke as your December Employee of the Month. Tom was selected to receive the December Employee of the Month award. Tom started his career here as a bus operator July of 2015. During this time here at the district, Tom has been nominated multiple times and was previously Employee of the Month in 2019. All right. Tom started as a transit ambassador due to some unforeseen circumstances. In his role, Tom has been a transit ambassador on several different routes. So he's not only doing the transit ambassador thing at the stations, he's actually going out on routes and riding the buses and able to interact with our customers and our employees on the buses. His coworkers have noted he is super helpful to his fellow operators and all the customers. He's great with kids, elderly, and the unhoused. It doesn't seem to matter who it is. He gets to know the customer and their story. He shows that he doesn't do this because it's a job. He does it because it's the type of person that Tom is. He's a great representative for Lane Transit District. When asked to comment on Tom's selection as Employee of the Month, his supervisor, Jeff Haddon, said, Tom was nominated to be December's Employee of the Month for helping an out-of-town traveler with a tight time frame get to Amtrak bus at Night Law School so they could make it home that night. Tom took the time to not only start work early to assist the traveler, but also got on the bus with her to make sure she got to her destination in time to make her connection. Tom is a great ambassador for LTD, and this is only one of the many stories that reflects his excellent customer service and dedication to our community. Real quick, because I know we're running a little bit late, I'm just going to say a couple more things that we've gotten on Tom. So Tom was present as an ambassador on my bus on Sunday night. My bus wouldn't raise, lower, doors wouldn't work, had a bunch of issues. Tom came on and carefully helped unload both my passengers with wheelchairs by hand. Tom was riding my bus when he was approached by a regular customer. He was so pleasant and present. I was very impressed by his compassion and his ability. It made me feel very proud to be part of this team. Tom was ambassador on my MX yesterday, very helpful and friendly to the customers and super helpful to me as I had a lot of accessible service ramp usage that I had to do. So with Tom does this every day, day in, day out, whether he is a bus operator or in his current role as a transit ambassador, he sets the example for others to follow. He's a pleasure to work with. I enjoy working with him. We've known each other for quite a while and travel in the same circles. So without anything else, Tom, you got anything you'd like to say in regards to this?
Board members, Jameson, Cosette, and Jake, because I know the ambassador program has meant a lot to you guys. Wow, employee of the month for being an ambassador. I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for the incredible opportunity to be part of this testing and success of the LTD Ambassador Program. It's an enriching experience, and I feel privileged for my involvement and contributing to the ongoing success of the Ambassador Program and the growth of it. Being an ambassador has shown me firsthand the importance of this program in fostering the sense of community and support for those that are navigating the unfamiliar territory. The impact of our collective efforts goes beyond mere guidance. It extends to providing a comforting presence for riders who might feel uncertain or maybe vulnerable. Being an ambassador has not only allowed me to enhance my skills, but also to provide a platform to connect with our riders, our community, and like-minded individuals who share a passion for extending a hand. Your support throughout this journey is invaluable, and I am truly thankful for the trust that you have all placed in me. I look forward to continuing my involvement and contributing further to the program's ongoing success. Thank you once again for the opportunity to stay as an ambassador. Thank you.
We have two things we're on. Thank you for sharing the stories and your passion for what you do. You're truly a remarkable person. We're very lucky to have you. Here's a few tokens of appreciation. This little tin for you. Little check there. Thank you. And a certificate. Tom, it's a pleasure meeting you. Thank you very much. And a poster.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. Let's see, we are to board member reports.
Thank you.
Any board member reports? Nope, that's okay. Next item is a contract for this CAD AVL implementation services. Scott Sorensen.
Good evening, Mr. Board Chair and fellow board members. I'm Scott Sorensen, the IT manager. Thank you for the opportunity to present tonight. We'll be talking about CAD/EVL implementation services, contract 2023-74. Before I get into the presentation too much, I'm going to talk about some acronyms to make sure everyone understands what I'm talking about. We're talking about CAD/EVL. The CAD is computer aided dispatch. AVL is automatic vehicle location, and ITS is integrated transportation systems. Okay. We have the diagram of all of our systems on the left. The IVL at the center of the display here is the CAD/EVL hardware that we're talking about. I'd like to talk about a previous approval we had on Vanta's CAD/EVL upgrade. That happened a couple months ago, and the CAD/EVL upgrade will upgrade 61 of our buses with brand new IVLU units and back here, and will increase some of our software, some new software on all of our bus fleet. That is important because this contract we're talking about tonight is in support of that upgrade, the CAD/EVL upgrade. So this project provides CAD/EVL oversight support services. So ongoing project support, supporting software and hardware installations, technology support, and system training and testing. Now, the vendor we have, Intour, is going to provide high value for LTD with their extensive experience and wisdom with CAD/EVL upgrades. They've done a lot of these. Allow us to dig deeper when we're doing the upgrade and really make sure we're doing these upgrades with a high level of quality. In addition to the implementation oversight support services, they're also going to do a CAD/EVL gap analysis and strategic plan development. And these are really important as well. The gap analysis of our current CAD/EVL systems will provide us information on any remaining systems that we need to upgrade and the state of the system itself. And the strategic plan development will allow us to map out a 2 to 3 year plan for making sure our systems remain best practices as well as modernized. This will also include a formal roadmap of initiatives and activities with sequencing and also rough order of magnitude of cost should we pursue those activities. Our procurement director, Wendy Frisbee, will now talk about procurement details for this $418,000 contract.
So you guys will see me a few times tonight as we go through the rest of these contracts. For this particular contract, this was a request for proposal. It's what we chose as our method of procurement. And so we went through our standard process. We did have only one response. We believe it's just because of the just specialty of this area and then just lack of vendors in this area. And so, but after careful review, the team did decide that this was the best vendor to go forth. We did a best and final offer and we're able to negotiate the price down. And we're ready to award if you guys approve.
Yeah.
Anything else, Scott?
No, I'd just like to say at this time, ask for board approval here and can answer any questions you might have.
Any questions?
I like the negotiating the price down.
Yes.
One of my favorite things to do.
Love it. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I move adoption of LTD resolution number 2023-12-13-043 as presented.
Who is the second?
Kelly.
Couldn't read her lips, sorry.
The road of life isn't always clear. Obstacles arise, and the journey can sometimes be rough. But we must keep moving. Because we all have a job to do, places to go, and families to care for. We can help you get there. Because even when our destinations differ, we ride together. Welcome aboard. At LTD, customer service is at our core. We want to make your journey easy, accessible, and enjoyable. Need help planning your trip? Whether you're a first-time rider or a returning rider, our people will help you get from point A to point B and back again. After all, our mission is connecting our community. We ride together. Ride LTD.
of a review process, timeline, and evaluation criteria. Whereas at its August 16, 2023 regular meeting, the board approved the process, timeline, and evaluation criteria presented by SDAO. And whereas at its December 13, 2023 regular meeting, the board performed the annual review of Lane Transit District's general manager, chief executive officer in public session. Now therefore be it resolved that the LTD Board of Directors passes a resolution as follows. Approving a favorable annual performance review of the general manager, chief executive officer.
Is there a second? Seconded by Susan. We'll do a roll call. Heather?
Aye.
Michelle?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Pete?
Aye.
Susan?
Yes.
And I'm also yes, so that's unanimous. And I think we have one more resolution or
This is
motion.
a lot easier. I think I'd get hazard pay for the last one. I move to adopt the following resolution. The board shall identify a subcommittee to recommend changes to the general manager's contract consistent with the review results to be presented to the board for consideration at the next board meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Michelle, second by Heather. And do we name that committee tonight or do we?
I don't think that's a requirement.
Our attorney says no.
Okay. We'll do a roll call. Susan? Pete?
Aye.
Kelly?
Yes.
Lawrence?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Heather?
Aye.
I'm also yes. That's unanimous.
Very good. Thank you. On behalf of SDAO, it's been a pleasure working with you. You are an amazing group. You are really, to me, one of the most productive boards that I've had the opportunity to work with. And thank you so much for the essential service that you provide to this community. It's just awesome. So it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
And thank you. Next, we have written reports. That's if we have any questions regarding those written reports, now would be the time to ask those. Any questions? Michelle?
On the operations report, in the public safety, I know we're talking a lot about ambassadors and employees and, you know, all of the work that's being done to increase opportunities for safety. And, but I'm looking at this report, and in October of 2022, there was an NA, and then this year we're showing 4 incidents in operator assaults and passenger assaults. And I'm just kind of wondering what the NA is there for.
Actually, we're measuring it differently this year because we have new elements and measured it. So last year we didn't measure it, so we can't compare apples to apples.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Any items for future meetings that people would like to see? Seeing none. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you for spending a little extra time this evening. I think it was well worth it. Have a good evening.
Recording stopped.